So, question for everybody on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Are you leveraging Warren Buffett's main two rules when it comes to your money? I'd say he's a great individual for all of us to be learning from, wouldn't you say? Now, if you have not heard of these before, definitely write this down, but I think you'll remember it from this point moving forward. So, Warren Buffett's rule number one when it comes to money: do not lose money. Rule number two: do not forget rule number one. I know it sounds so simple, but we're going to look at some math today and how many people just this week with what's been going on in the markets have lost money. If you think about it, we do have to take risks. There's always going to be risk if we want to be able to grow our money, if we want to be able to have more money and not just have it sitting stagnant. But who wants to really have their money sitting stagnant, right? Now, this whole idea came to me, and talking about this plan or game plan from Warren Buffett came to me because I was actually having a conversation with a good friend of mine. It always comes from fitness for me. That's my background. That was my passion for a long time until I realized that unfortunately the majority of us aren't taught the rules of the money game and what would happen if we knew the same rules or we had the same mindset as so many other individuals that already have made money. So he and I were talking and I said, wait a minute, you know what? When I was competing and even when I was in college, when I was playing college basketball, we used a lot of our old training to help us get better. So we said, okay, let's see. Let's look at our past. Let's see what we did for this competition, for this show. We looked really good here, but we could have been better here. Or when it was playing basketball, okay, so we made this tweak during practice, and this was the results. This was how it turned out. Was that for the better, or could it have been better? Was there something we could have changed? Now, I think a lot of people are running around, and they're spouting stuff on social media, and I'm already expecting to take heat for this video. I'm okay with that. But I want to hear facts. I'm tired of hearing everybody's emotions and they feel this. That's great, but show me the numbers. That's what I'm asking for. And this is not investment advice. I am not telling anybody to go out and change their current strategies. The biggest recommendation I have is expand your knowledge. I'm always looking to grow at this point. I'm always looking. When I was young, when I was 21, 22, 23, 25, all the way up to probably 26 years old, 27 years old, I knew it all already. I was a genius. I'm sure many of you felt the exact same way. But let's be real. We all realize once we get older how much we did not know, but also how much we still don't know. So I've been doing a lot of reading. I've done a lot of research, and I did a little bit of a case study today to give you guys two side-by-side comparisons because I keep hearing how great the last decade has been and how the market's going to keep going up and it's never going to go down. I'm sure you guys have heard this. But on top of that, I keep talking to people on a daily basis. I'm very blessed to be down here in Boca Raton with my wife running our office. But I keep talking to people on a daily basis, and they're not where they want to be financially. If anything, they feel like they're more strapped right now than they were 5 years ago. They feel like their money is not going as far as it was. So why do we keep talking about how much the market's been on a tear? But let me not go on too much of a tangent. So if you're leveraging Warren Buffett's two rules, or if you want to leverage his two rules for your money, we're going to do a little bit of a side-by-side comparison today, which is the easiest way for me to stand on. This is the easiest side for me to stand on. If you guys look at it right here, I did the 2000 to 2010 market run, and then I also did the 2014 to 2023. So that's a very interesting comparison. Now, many people, if you look at the average individual, and I pulled this, this is all numbers right off the internet, and this was actually, I used ChatGPT. This is not me going through. This is ChatGPT giving me the numbers. So these are not things that I made up or I came up for myself. I literally asked him, what is the numbers? How do they work? What was the breakdown from each year? So this is specific math. Now, the funny thing is, a lot of us are looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, this is what I heard. This is what I was told. But is it how they felt or is it the real numbers? So let's look at the real numbers. Back in 2000 to 2010, if I had $250,000, why did I use $250,000? The average retiree today in the 65-year-old range has $250,000 in either their 401k, their IRA, their mutual fund account, getting ready for retirement. Now, if I had $250,000 and I put it in the market, or it was in the market in 2000, I didn't continue putting money in. So let's say I was retired and I just let it grow. I said, oh my goodness, everybody keeps saying the market always goes up and I'm going to get my 7, 10. I've heard people tell me you're going to get 15, 20% every year in the market. This is not me. I've heard this. But I said, okay, well, let's see what the numbers would have looked like if I had $250,000 in 2000 and retired. How much money would I have had in 2010 if I did not take out a dollar? Based on actual returns, not average returns, because I hate hearing average returns. Based on actual returns from that time frame, my money would have gone from $250,000 to $261,426 approximately. Now, is that the numbers that you want to see specifically if you're within 10 years of retirement, or if you're in your retirement? That's your first 10 years of retirement. It sounds like you might be going back to work. How many people do you see today at Publix, Walmart, Target, you name it, either work in the door or work in the checkout aisle? Do you think that's where they planned on being if they're over 55 years old? No. So right now is a great time, especially after the roar that we've had in the markets, which kind of reminds me of this decade. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, the roaring 20s, but we won't go there right now. But let's look at this, 250 to 261. Is that a number you're comfortable seeing if we had a repeat of that, say from 2025 on, or from 2022 on, however, wherever you're at in your life? And if you're young and you don't mind losing and you don't care, and Christopher, shut up, I'm going to throw all my money in the Pepe coin and I'm good. Again, this is not investment advice. I do not recommend Pepe coin. But if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Go do it. Let's look at the other side, 2014 to 2023. So we're past the financial crisis. We're past the internet bubble. If you had $250,000 and you were to have it in a 401k IRA in the markets, let's say an S&P 500 index or something of that nature, by the end of 2023, you would have had $600,000+ approximately based on actual return numbers. Now, the interesting part of this, and I'm questioning here, I really I missed something on this. I could have done something on the board here to look kind of cool. I'm not sure if I'm good enough artist though. But how many of you have ever played blackjack? Have you ever been to the casino? Have you done it at home? Anything of that nature where you've played blackjack? The goal is to get as close to 21 as possible. If you beat the dealer to that 21, either you get it or you're higher than they are, then you win, right? Now, what if you could walk up to a table and no matter how much you've got, whether it's $100 or $250,000, and they said, you know what, tonight for you, you get to play as long as you want. And every time you lose, we're going to give you all your money back. But when you win, we're going to give you 80% of your winnings. How long would you stay at that table for? How long would you play that hand? As far as how long would you be at that poker or that blackjack table saying, let's go, let's go, let's go? I guess I wish I had more people comment in the chat for me. I got to get you guys doing this with me. But if my guess serves me right, you would be in that table for as long as they allowed you to, and as long as you could keep your eyelids open. If they're telling you can't lose, but they'll give you 80% of your returns. So I said, let's take this an entirely step further. I said, what if these individuals, starting back in 2000, put their money into an option where when the market goes down, they can protect themselves from losses, but when the market goes up, they still receive the returns of the market. So during the same decade, based on actual returns and then limiting the downside to a 0% floor, these individuals would have gone from $250,000 to approximately $665,000 in the same decade, but taking out those massively down years that we experienced during that time frame. Now, if that was possible, if that was a real option, a real financial tool, is that a tool you think people would have had their money in? Do you think it's something that you would want your money in? Heaven forbid we were to repeat this again. Let's look at the other side, because from 2014 to 2023, people did pretty well. I mean, in reality, this was 665. These people over here are already at, give or take, $600,000 if they did not take their money out. Now, that's the power of compounding interest. That's going to be a whole nother video, but I wanted to do this comparison based on a couple of conversations I've had recently. So I said, well, what if we had zero losses for that same time frame? During that time frame, if there was zero losses, so whenever the market went down, such as 2022, a lot of you probably took a haircut there. If the market went down, instead of losing money, you had a 0% floor, so your money is protected. Instead of being at $600,000, you'd have been at approximately $787,000. Now, for either one of these, is that a drastic difference? Whether you go from instead of 261, you're at 665, or even 600,000, if you're at almost 800,000, pushing $780,000+ approximately, based on actual return numbers. Again, these are not numbers I'm making up for you. These are not my feelings about this. I'm giving you a direct comparison, the same way that we used to do with basketball, the same way I did in the fitness world when my wife and I were competing and helping people get ready for competitions. Because to me, if I'm using real numbers, if I'm using real metrics, that's how you get a true response. It's not based on my emotions. It's not based on my feelings. And it's definitely not based on what makes you the most commission. Now, there is a very interesting study about this. It was an Ernst & Young study where they did 100 Monte Carlo comparisons saying that if you were to use permanent life insurance and annuities, but Stacks, you make money on those. You're right, I do. And your 401k provider makes money on your 401k. And your individual that has your assets under management makes money on that. All I'm talking about is the ability to protect yourself from losses. What is that worth? And depending on the type of product, there's actually products that are not fee-based as far as the money does not come out of the money you're paying to the companies. Isn't that interesting? Now, let's take this comparison one step further. I did not write these numbers down because I gave you a comparison of saying, go into the blackjack table. Let's see if I can put this up here real quick. We're at the blackjack table. And we're going for, we wouldn't want ace, we want ace, king. We're going for ace, king. We're trying to get that blackjack. We're trying to make sure we get that 21 to make our money, right? But I said, what if you only get 80% of your returns? Right here, I'm showing you what 100% return would be based on the actual market numbers. You can look them up yourself. But what if we only got 80% returns, approximately? If we were to only get 80% returns, this same right here would be approximately $554,000. That's still a pretty good up, isn't it? There's a lot of money being left on the table there. But Christopher, what if I just lost? What if it was 2001 and I'd already started losing money? Well, what if you could stop the bleeding? What if you could cut off that bleeding and still give yourself the ups of the market as it came back? Yes, there's an option for that. How about over here? Well, 787, that's a drastic difference. Well, how about if you were to get approximately 636,000 total instead of the 600,000 initially? Would an extra $36,000 be beneficial? Would that be a nice little bonus? Now, I tell everybody, whether you're looking at fixed accounts, whether you're looking at variable accounts, whether you're looking at indexed accounts or anything of that nature, why was all your money in any one of them? I spoke to a gentleman the other day. He said, I don't have my money in variable accounts. I've lost a lot of money. I do not trust crypto. I do not trust the stock market. I said, no problem. I understand. If you've taken that hit, not everybody can deal with that risk tolerance. That's fine. But there is a product that's called a risk mitigation tool where you can get the ups of the market, which is what I'm talking about here. Let's say we're on the low end and it's only 80% of the ups of the market, but you can't lose $1 and there's no fees every single year. Is that a product that you would want to be in? He said, oh, that's a conversation we could have. Nobody's shown me that before, because most people are only looking at, okay, can I make money off you for the rest of your life, et cetera, et cetera. Not everybody's looking at it from a standpoint of, hey, I've been through the ringer. I've actually seen my family lose money. I don't want to do the same thing to you. I want to make sure that you're comfortable. That's the most important part. I tell everybody, my wife loves her savings. She loves money set aside. I like the variable products, but again, because my wife loves safety, we've learned how to leverage certain vehicles, so at the right time we can use them for asymmetric risk or asymmetric returns, but have safety when the market's bad. Because you make the most money when the market's actually down, because you get to ride it back up. Now, if right now you feel like you have overexposure, you feel like you have too much money, and you feel like you haven't actually heard from your individual that you're working with currently a product where you could get the ups of the market and not lose money. And you're saying, Christopher, based on these numbers right here, I would definitely prefer to be here. And then if you're over here and you're saying even only $36,000, that's an extra $36,000. That's a pretty good deal. And it didn't cost me anything. Yes, it did not cost you anything. So if that's a conversation you'd want to have and you feel like you're sick of playing blackjack where the house wins every single time, and instead you'd rather have those odds turned in your favor. And my wife did say I should have said this was, may the odds be ever in your favor. Reach out. Feel free to DM me. It's Chris Stacks. Feel free to message me on here. Feel free to message me on Facebook. I'm live on both right now, so love everybody that's tuning in. I appreciate everybody, and also the individuals that even came in today to hear what I'm going over. But if this is something that you want to have a conversation about, if you want to make sure that if this has been the Roaring 20s, and you want to make sure that your money is protected before anything was to happen, if it does, feel free to reach out. Happy to have that conversation and see if there is anything we can do for you. Otherwise, I hope I provided you some value, and I hope you're able to use this to better your financial situation. Have a blessed day.